Hi everyone and welcome back or welcome to Stitches Past 5. My name is Vera and today I'm going to share you some of the beautiful patterns that I found online. They're all knitting summer patterns, so either knitting tops, t-shirts, like a summer sweater. Yeah, a lot of them are on my list to make, and I just thought they were so amazing. I was looking for like things that I could still make in the summer before it kind of gets too late, before I do want to go into more of the winter or autumn knitting. And yeah, I thought I would share some of the things that I found with you because they're so gorgeous. These designers, I don't know how, I think pattern design is so difficult, and like you can tell if a pattern is well designed. And yeah, they're amazing. Like the patterns that are online like these days, they're so beautiful, and like it's really pulling knitting away from what it kind of used to be, like this thing old people do. And yeah, now I'm like so excited. Seeing these patterns just makes me want to knit all day every day, which I mean I can't really do at the moment because I am working, but yeah, they're so gorgeous. Yeah, so let's dive right into it. I'm going to be sharing like the designer, where they can be found, if it's a paid or free pattern, also what yarn you use, which gauge you need, and yeah, if there's any like other interesting things about the pattern. Yeah, so the first one I want to share is the Sahara top. I'm going to try to put in pictures that are usually the ones used in the design or in the website of the design. So the first one is the Sahara top, and it is by a designer called This Cozy Nest. I'm not actually sure if the designer shares their name, but yeah, the designer is This Cozy Nest, and it's this beautiful tank top with a little bit of like a thicker strap. It looks like a V, but like a soft kind of V shaping that doesn't go down too low, which I always appreciate. Yeah, I think often with these knit or often also crochet tops, they do like stretch down a little bit. So I think if you're already starting with an opening that sits really low, yeah, chances are that it will get a lot lower over time, depending on the yarn you use, of course, and which stitch and so on and so on and so forth. Yeah, but this one is relatively up high, but it still has quite a lot of opening for some, you know, fresh air in the summer, so it's not gonna feel very closed and uptight. The price for this pattern is €7.80, and it comes in sizes XS through XXL. The pattern suggests a cotton or a cotton merino blend yarn, and it has 22 by 28 stitches in stockinette, so 22 stitches per 10 centimeters or per 4 inches, which makes me think that it's a DK weight yarn. It didn't specify in the pattern, but I guess a thinner DK weight yarn, depending on the needle size you're using. And yeah, it has these beautiful like waves kind of like coming up on the sides, which is so nice. And I think will also give like really nice shaping to your upper body. And yeah, the pattern, it is on Etsy, so it is a PDF download, and it's available in English and Russian, which is fun. And yeah, the top is worked bottom up, mainly in stockinette stitch from what it appears like on the pictures. Yeah, so that's the Sahara top by This Cozy Nest. I'll leave all the links down below as well so that you can quickly find them. Yeah, so the next one is one that I've actually just ordered the yarn for. I'm super excited to make this one, and this one is called the Summer Lotus Blouse. This one is found on the Hobie website. I was just browsing Hobie because yeah, they were sending me emails and some sales they were hosting, and some new yarns they got in, so I thought, okay, I haven't been on the website in a while because I've just had a lot of yarn at home, didn't need to order more. But then I stumbled across this website, or I stumbled across this pattern, the Summer Lotus Blouse. The designer is Maria Solftofte. I am not sure if I'm saying that correctly. And the nice thing is that it's a free pattern, which I think is always really nice. especially for more intricate things like a blouse or like it's like a pullover. And I think the reason that it's free is because they actually sell the yarn that is used to make this project on their website, and that is Friends Kid Silk, which is then held double. And in the suggestions they actually use 2 different colors of kid silk to create, yeah, the 2 sweaters that are shown on the pictures. And I've also gone ahead and I ordered 2 shades of blue, so like a darker one and then a navy blue. So I'll be starting that one after the top that I'm currently working on, which I'll share at the end, because I think the one I'm working on right now, the pattern is a bit tricky and I'll still share it because I think it still looks really nice, but yeah, I'll just mention it later. Yeah, so for the summer Lotus blouse, the gauge is 15 stitches, and I think it's worked on a 5 or 6 millimeter needle, depending on your tension, which means that it's like very loose and like kind of gives that summery drape, I guess. It is made of silk, and I think it's like a mohair silk blend actually, because kid is like a type of wool, and yeah, I think it's gonna have a really nice, like, just a warmth for those summer evenings, for those cooler, maybe windier evenings, but also just like this airiness that comes through the silk that's not gonna make you feel really captured or suffocating in a sweater that you're wearing in the summer. I'm really excited. I think the pattern or the blouse will be a little bit see-through, and I think that's fine because it is designed to be something that you're wearing on top of, like a t-shirt that you're wearing that day on top of whatever else you're wearing. And yeah, it comes in sizes XS to XXL, and it is a free pattern, like I said. The difficulty is rated at intermediate because I believe it includes some short rows, and I think it also includes an I-cord finishing, if I'm not mistaken. The PDF is available in a bunch of different languages, so I currently own it in German and in English. I will be following it in English because I don't know how to read knitting in German. Although it is my first language, I've just always done my knitting in English. And yeah, it's a super light blouse, I think, which yeah, makes it perfect for summer, and it's worked from the top down with that raglan incorporated. Next, I'm going to share another free pattern. It is the Dazzling Diamonds vest by Drop. So I don't know if you know this already, but I think everyone should know that Drop's the yarn brand, I guess. They have so many free patterns on their website. I guess a lot of yarn brands like Hobby, like Drops, or yarn distribution brands, I guess I should say, have a lot of patterns because they're hoping that you would buy their yarn from them to make their pattern, which I guess makes sense. So this one is the Dazzling Diamonds vest. It is a tank top that has buttons in the front with this beautiful like diamond, I guess it's like a lace pattern, and yeah, I think it's so beautiful. It does come down quite low, so I think if I were to make it, I would actually make it a little bit higher just because that's my personal preference. And it is suggested to be made with Drops Muscat, which is a cotton yarn, or Drops Cotton Merino, which is a cotton merino blend, and they're both in yarn group B. Drops does yarn groups, and the gauge is 21 by 28 stitches in stockinette with a needle size of 4 millimeter. Yeah, I think this is a really effective top. It's simple, it's interesting. I think it will take a little while to make just because of the pattern, but then again, it's a tank top, and tank tops always come together quite a bit faster than sweaters or cardigans or anything like that would. The piece is knitted from the top down in this lace pattern, and it includes like the straps at the top, and then also like a button band that you like kind of knit separately, I believe. Then the next pattern I want to share is called the Perfect T-shirt knitting pattern. Also a free pattern, which is lovely, and this is essentially your vanilla t-shirt pattern. So this is a super basic pattern. It is designed by Caitlin from Originally Lovely, which is a blog, and it comes in sizes XS to 5XL, which is really nice. I think it's always good to see the size inclusivity, which I think is often missed out, especially in the larger sizes, just because it's difficult for the pattern designers to get it tested, and maybe if they're not that size themselves, it is difficult, and it would also be really difficult for me, but I think it's really nice and telling that it goes up to 5XL. It is worked in a DK weight yarn, any DK weight yarn, and has a gauge of 22 by 28 stitches in stockinette on a 4mm needle. I think it's awesome that this is a free pattern, because I think if you're still a little bit intimidated by knitting, or knitting like something intricate as lace or some, like, I don't know, all these different pattern techniques that everyone talks about all the time, I think it's really good to start with something like this that teaches you the basics. How do you split for the sleeves? How do you, you know, increase? How do you decrease? How do you get the shaping correctly? And I think from what I saw, this pattern is a really good one. I do have some DK weight cotton lying around, so I am actually entertaining the idea of making this t-shirt in the cotton yarn that I have lying around. I'll see if I meet gauge with it. I'm not sure yet, I haven't tried. But yeah, I think it's just also a really nice sweater, t-shirt, especially in like a neutral color. I can see this becoming kind of like a staple in your closet. And the fun thing with this pattern is that it has a corresponding crochet pattern, which also you don't really see often, like the same thing but knitted and crocheted. I think that can also be like a really cool challenge if you're more into one or more into the other and kind of want to venture over, because then you already kind of see how it looks in the other, or see how it looks knitted, and you want to try out crocheting. I think that could be really fun. So yeah, that's the perfect t-shirt knitting pattern by Caitlin by Originally Lovely. Yeah, speaking of intricate and maybe a little bit intimidating patterns, the next one can be exactly that. And it is intimidating and it doesn't look simple, but it looks gorgeous and amazing. So if you're a little bit more advanced, or if you're looking to challenge yourself, the Love Letter Top by Kuteva Kika, who's a Finnish designer, is maybe a really good choice for you. Like it has like all the different section and like all the different techniques used per sections. I think it's also a project that you can learn a lot from. I think it's called a love letter top because it has like these cute little hearts across the front, all worked in different knitting techniques to make that as the output. And it comes in sizes XS to 5XL, so again a pretty big size variety here, at a price of €5.90. It's worked in DK or worsted weight yarn, and the gauge is 20 by 30 stitches in stockinette. On a needle size 2.5 to 3mm, which seems very small to me on that gauge, but I guess it's because of the lace, because of the very intricate patterns. Yeah, I think this is such a beautiful piece of art, and like really kudos to Kuteva Kika. She's an amazing designer. I have her book. I've made a bunch of stuff from her book, and she explains it really well as well. Like I find that her instructions are very clear. They're very easy to follow. She has a lot of video tutorials, which is always a plus on the internet. And yeah, I've been following her for a really long time, and it's really exciting, like to see kind of like her like evolution, her development in her patterns as well. And I think this is one of her more recent ones, and it's just, oh, it's so cool. I don't think I'll have time to make it this summer, but I think I'm definitely gonna write it on my list for summer 2025 because it's gorgeous and I just have to make it, like looking at it. Okay, I think it's hard to have these lists without a pattern from Petite Knit. Now, everyone knows that Petite Knit is probably the biggest designer, the biggest pattern designer in the knitting world currently, maybe, or the most popular one. And there's a reason. Her patterns are incredible, they are lovely, and they're really easy to follow. And the one I've chosen from Petite Knit is the Audrey top. So it's this tank top with the straps quite close together, and that makes for this very, I always find that when the straps are close together it makes for a very like sporty look. And then it comes straight down. I think it's worked just straight in stockinette. And it comes in sizes XXS to 5XL. And its yarn suggestion is they have a few yarn suggestions, but one of them is 2 strands of pure silk by Knitting for Olive, and the gauge is 20 by 27 stitches in stockinette on a 10 by 10 centimeter gauge. The needle size they use is a 4mm needle, and the difficulty says it is intermediate, which makes me think that it's actually harder than what it looks like in the picture, because in the picture it looks like just a very simple top and it's worked bottom up. And this is also on my list for this summer, so I'm not sure if I'll get around to it this summer. Kind of depends how long my other projects are gonna take, but I think it's super nice. I think it looks really effective. The only thing is I haven't seen how the back looks, and I think that would be really interesting, slash like I would want to find out what the back of this top looks before I make it, because yeah, I like it when it goes up a little bit. I'm not sure if I love it if it kind of goes down really low on the back, but maybe that's also just something fun and new for me to try. Yeah, so the price for this pattern, I don't think I've mentioned, is 45 Danish krone, which is 6 euros or around 6 USD. Yeah, so hopefully I get around to making this one this summer. We will see. Okay, then I spent some time on Etsy, and there are so many cool pattern designers on Etsy now. This is one of them. They're called Patterns by CL Knits, and the top that I've chosen from them is the Luna Tea knitting pattern. This is like a very classy top. It feels like a very bougie chic t-shirt. They make it in this like very clean looking white, and yeah, I think the broken rib, I think it is, just looks so cool and just like visually interesting, and that's why I chose this pattern. It is made in a fingering weight yarn, so it's a little bit of a smaller gauge at 22.5 stitches by 36 rows. And it comes in sizes 1 through 7, and I don't know what those sizes mean. Each like size of that comes with like your measurements. I guess once you know your measurements, you know which size to make. I'm not sure if I love this, because I think if you're making it for someone else, for example, it's really difficult. I don't know if I'm a size 5 or 3, I could be anything, I don't know. But I guess with the measurements it is, yeah, easy to figure out your size. The price of this pattern is 8.40 euros, and yeah, I think it's so classy. I love it. I immediately, my eyes were drawn to it, and I also think that with this one the yarn choice makes a big difference, because I think you want something breathable, because it does come up quite high and you have kind of like quite a lot of fabric under your arms. So I think I would definitely choose a yarn that is washable. I think with a tank top it's kind of easier to hand wash it if it gets a little bit sweaty, if it like has a lot of space or air down below your arms. But I think with these t-shirts, like I want a yarn that I can wash, because otherwise I'm just hand washing it like every single time I use it. But yeah, I think the pattern construction with like what seems like a really thick raglan come down here with the sleeves also in the broken rib is just so beautiful. I think they use a 4mm size, yeah, 4mm needle, and yeah, there's no difficulty mentioned. And I think if it's just a broken rib, I don't think it's too difficult. I think then it looks more intimidating than it might be to make. But yeah, so that's by the Luna Tea knitting pattern by Patterns by CL Knits. She also has an array of lovely other patterns if you want to go check her out. Okay, then I have a pattern, or I found a pattern by Ozetta, and this is the Moonset Tee, which is this beautiful drapey t-shirt with this really cool collar that like kind of one side flaps on top of the other. I've actually just made a similar constructed collar or like neckline, I guess, in my Elizabeth blouse, which I mentioned in my most recent podcast, and it was actually like kind of easier to lay on top and continue knitting than it seemed at first. At first I was like, how on earth am I gonna like construct this? But it was explained really well, and it uses, or this pattern uses the same technique of kind of like laying the flaps on top of each other and then knitting through. Yeah, so the designer here is Ozetta. The price is $6, so US dollars 50, so I guess it's the same in euros. and it comes in a size XS to 5XL. It is made in a fingering weight yarn, so it's a thinner yarn, and the gauge is 26 stitches by 38 rows. So I guess it will be a little bit of a longer project just because your yarn is a lot thinner, but I think that's exactly what makes this so nice looking and interesting. I think a lot of stuff is worked in DK weight yarn, and that's great because DK weight is relatively fast to work up, but I think as soon as you use a thinner yarn, it can look so nice, and like the drape you achieve with it is just so beautiful and gorgeous. The yarn they suggest here is knitting for olive and pure silk. Yeah, of course you can make it in other things. I think, yeah, if you have the budget to buy silk, go do that. If you don't, that's also, you can make it probably in cotton. I think I would also want something washable again, because of like, if it gets sweaty in the summer, I just like knowing that I can just wash it in the machine and not have to worry about it. Yeah, it's the needle size is 2.75 to 3.25 millimeters, and it is worked top down just because of the construction of the collar, I guess. I think this one looks so nice. I really want to make it. Again, probably don't have time this year, but hopefully I'll be able to get around to it in the spring for next summer. The next pattern is a little bit of a different one. So I wanted to not just include tops and t-shirts in here. So then I found this designer called Coco Knits. She has a blog, and she does a lot of different designs, and the one that really stood out to me here was Gabrielle, it's called, the pattern, and it's essentially this long tunic that is like kind of like constructed as a tank top at the top, and then it splits for your front and your back flap, and where the back flap is quite a bit longer than the front. And I think that's so, like, to me that just has like the Italian lakeside vibes, like on a hot summer evening, and then you just want to look a little bit more chic, a little bit more fancy, put that on. I think you're right there. It is priced at $10, which I think is quite expensive for a pattern, but I guess it is a large piece, maybe that's how it's justified. And it comes in sizes S to 5XL. It's made in 2 strands of sport weight yarn held together, and the gauge is 18 stitches by 25 rows. So I think the gauge is quite large, making me think that if you hold 2 sport weight yarns together, it is going to be like quite warm or thicker depending on which material you choose. So maybe be aware if you're going to make this tunic. The needle size suggested is a 4.5 millimeter needle, also suggesting that it'll be a bit of a like thicker or quicker, I guess. It is quite long, so that probably won't be quick, but you know what I mean. It is a mix of stockinette and garter stitch, where the top is made in stockinette, and then around like where your belly button is, you start using garter stitch. So it's just also really interesting visually. Like, yeah, I think it's a really cool, like a little bit different, very chic piece by Coco Knits, and it's called Gabrielle. Okay, the next pattern I want to share is the Nigrum Cardigan. This is a cardigan made in mohair, and I really like the collar part. Like, it's so cool how it almost like drops at a right angle, and what I also really love is the sleeves that kind of balloon out. It is made holding 2 strands of ending mohair together, which makes me think it's gonna be a very light cardigan that's still gonna give you that warmth on those colder summer evenings. The model here and the picture is like this beautiful color. It's kind of like a greenish gray, and it just looks super effective. I find it looks very chic, very elegant again. It comes in sizes XS to XL at a price, or at a pattern price, of €9. And the gauge is 19 stitches by 27 rows on a 4.5 millimeter needles. Again, it's quite large needle size for 2 strands of mohair, so I guess it's gonna be like a pretty airy blouse. That's probably also gonna be, or cardigan blouse, that's probably also gonna be a little bit see-through, so that's something to keep in mind, I guess. Yeah, it's worked in a raglan. I'm not sure where the raglan is, I guess on the back of it. I can't really tell from this picture, and yeah, it uses some short rows at the back, so I guess that's where it uses some short rows at the back, so I guess that's where the raglan happens as well, with these beautiful ballooning sleeves. Okay, next we have the Sabai top by Paula Strick. It's a German speaking designer, I guess. This one is also from Etsy. I found this designer. She also has so many nice, beautiful patterns, all available in English as well, of course. And this one is this really nice tank top with this, we call it like a submarine collar in German, because it's kind of like this long, yeah, opening where your neck comes out, or like the collar opening. And yeah, it's this tank top that's looks pretty boxy. It is, yeah, it comes in sizes XS to XXL and uses the yarn Line by Sandnes Garn at a gauge of 20 stitches by 28 rows. I think this one is so like just basic, like it's one of your wardrobe basics kind of. Especially like paired with this gold jewelry right here, it just looks really nice, I find. And I think it's also gonna be a pretty quick project because it is a gauge of 20 stitches. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just stockinette stitch front, stockinette stitch at the back on 4mm needles. So I think that's really fine. And yeah, I think in a basic color that can look really, really nice. Yeah, the price, by the way, is €5.54 on Etsy, and now mind you, the Etsy fees can range by country. I'm in Austria, so I think it might be different for you, but only by a few cents. Next pattern is a fun one. It is the Falling Leaves shell in Taki Yarns Cotton Classic by the designer Taki Yarns. It is like a bit of an older pattern, so I guess the pictures are kind of like from the 2000s. Nevertheless, I picked this because the pattern was so interesting. It has like these leaves, like this leaf construction as a tank top, coming kind of like leaves growing up almost, it feels like. The price is £4.75. And it doesn't come in sizes, it just shows like your bust centimeters, or in sizes, or the size of the finished thing, I guess. And the bust range is 81 to 137 centimeters in circumference. It is worked in a DK weight yarn and it doesn't include a gauge, so I guess you just kind of gotta go for it and then end up with more or less negative ease. It is worked on 4mm needles, and yeah, it doesn't have any indication of difficulty. I just thought it looked so cool. It looked different, like it's kind of like from, you know, the 2000s, I guess. And yeah, it's just something I wanted to include because yeah, it just kind of sparked my attention, caught my eye. Okay, and then we're already at the last pattern that I want to share. This one is so cool. I picked this one last, or I saved this one for last because it might be my favorite, I'm not sure. This one is on the website Nordic Knits, or Knit Nordic, sorry. It is called the Shine Short Sleeve and the designer is November Knits. It is this beautiful like t-shirt with relatively long arms, like the arms or the sleeves almost come down to your elbows or just above your elbows, and it has this really interesting stitch pattern. It didn't say in the pattern description what exactly or how you make the stitch. I guess you gotta buy the pattern, but it looks so cool. It's made in 2 strands of Sadness Garden Tin Silk Mohair and comes in sizes XS to XL. Yeah, I said at a price of €7. The gauge is 18 stitches by 10 centimeters on a needle size of 4mm. I think this was so interesting. Maybe I just really love the color of it. They also took really beautiful pictures. I always love it when a t-shirt just has some positive ease, kind of, where you just feel comfortable as well, where it's not like skin tight with negative ease. And I think this, you can really dress it up. You can also dress it down, but I think it just looks so cool. It looks store-made to me, like, yeah, and I'm really hoping to make this one soon. Yeah, so I saved this one for last because I just thought it was so cool. All right, so yeah, those are some of the patterns that I, you know, kind of got stuck on when I was looking for patterns to make. I'm currently making the Fruit top by Önling, which is also a tank top with this lace pattern at the bottom. It is worked bottom up, and I just started splitting for one of the like straps, one of the tanks of the tank top, I guess. I will show it in my next podcast, And yeah, I'm having a little bit of trouble like getting through the pattern right now because I'm just not really understanding it. I have found like a few typos and so on. I'm not sure if it's a tech editing thing or what the situation is, but I am getting through it. It's just taking me a little longer because I have to read everything like 3 times and really think and figure it out, which yeah, is a nice challenge I guess, but also feel like one that I don't necessarily need. But I'm sure I'll get there and I'll show you as soon as it's done. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my overview of patterns. Maybe I inspired you a little bit in choosing your next project. And yeah, thank you for watching. Yeah, I've been really happy that a lot more have kind of joined, have been watching over the last few weeks. That makes me very happy, very excited that, you know, to see that people actually, you know, want to see what I make and like how I feel about things and so on and so forth. So thank you for that. If you're back and if you're new, welcome I guess. Yeah, I'd love for you to subscribe and stick around, and yeah, maybe leave in the comments below which patterns you love, which patterns you want to make, and yeah, maybe we can inspire each other a little bit. So thank you again for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!